staying on Dodd-Frank and rules that came out of that, another thing was Reg AB 2. You guys just put out a release on Wednesday afternoon requesting comments from the market on reassessing that. From my view, within the Structured Finance Association, we've seen there's been a lot of conversation about how some of the definitions are very hard to know that you're actually going to follow the rule. And this is something, again, that actually you put out a speech. It's called Secret Garden, SECRET. And it really talks a lot about this, about how the rules are so difficult to navigate. And that's what I've heard a lot from issuers, is they're struggling to know that they're actually going to be compliant with the rules. And what they'd like is some more clarity around the rules. Tell us your thoughts and how you guys are looking at Reg AB 2 more broadly, even outside of RMBS, the benefits it's presented, but also how this applies, because you and I spoke earlier. One of the big agenda items for the SEC overall, and Chairman Clayton, is on trying to bring more public deals, not only in our market, but more broadly. And I'm assuming that might have been part of the precipitus of this discussion and this request for comment, because there really hasn't been any public issuance within the RMBS market.
Yeah, and so that's exactly what's motivating this, is trying to, generally, Chairman Clayton has been good about wanting to go back and see how things work and wanting to build into rulemakings the commitment that we will do that, go back later and look at what's going on. And so this is an area where there's a red flag, because we're not seeing anyone using the framework that we've set up. And so we want to understand, to what extent is that because of the framework, and to what extent is that because of other factors that are out there. And so I hope that you all will take a look at that, if you haven't already, at the request for comment that the chairman put out. I mean, the chairman put it out, but I can say that I too am very interested in seeing what the feedback we get is, and I think that will help us figure out what, if anything, we need to do in this space. I suspect there is something that we need to do. So again, one of the things that I remember hearing very much after the crisis, when we asked investors, what did you need that you weren't getting to make better decisions in the lead up to the financial crisis, we always heard, we need more loan level details. We need to know what it is we're buying. And so given that, it seemed to me that the approach that the SEC took in 2014 of trying to standardize the parameters and make sure that there's sufficient data on the underlying made sense. But I think now we have to ask, okay, well, is this really what investors want? Why aren't investors getting this in comparable markets for comparable securities? So is there something that we need to do to streamline? Can we add more optionality in? Again, I'm a market-driven person, and I think that the market is good at signaling what it wants and doesn't. So can we build in more of a chance for people to customize to meet the demands of their investors? And so those are some of the things that I think you'll see in the list of questions that are included in that release from last week that we're trying to get at. But let us know if we've missed something in that as well. I think we really do have a very open mind on making changes that will work, and we're not wedded to any particular direction. It is tied, as you mentioned, to this desire to have things happening in the public markets, the reason that we care about that is because it's an area where investors of all types can access. And I think it's just generally better for the transparency and for the health of our markets to have more happening in the public markets. So those are some of the things we're thinking about in connection with that. But again, really do hope that we'll get a robust dialogue going among commenters.
Perfect. No, that's very helpful, and no worries here. We'll definitely be commenting from our end, and there's a lot of other trades that will also be commenting, so your request will be definitely met with some responses.